Hey YouTube, this is the Purple One. Got a lot of little things to talk about. First, I want to talk about boots on the ground. I appreciate everyone sending me information. I'm hoping people are listening to it and taking action. It's motivating you to do something, motivating you to make decisions in your life. Our whole life is based on decisions. Some of you 10, 20, 40, 50 years ago made decisions, and those decisions are affecting your life right now. You might decide, hey, I want to go to college, I don't want to go to college. I want to join the military, I don't want to join the military. Some of you decided, hey, when I was in high school, I didn't want to attend classes, so you barely got through high school. Some of you did really good in high school. So everything we do is decisions. When you get your first car, you got a decision, well, I'm going to speed or I'm going to follow the law. Some of you guys decided to speed and your insurance went way up. And that hurts you in life. So right now, you're going to have decisions to make. These are decisions involving where you're going to live, where you're going to work, if you're going to prep or not, if you're going to put stuff back. So you might be going through life saying, man, I've done some stupid things in life, and you're down. You're like, man, I'm never going to get ahead. You know what? Yes, you're going to live with those decisions, but guess what? Today is a new day. Your decisions you make today need to be the right decisions. There's only a small percentage of people right now that are even worried about prepping. Very, very small. 5% maybe? 10% at the max maybe? Not sure. But those people have decided, hey, I'm going to prep, I'm going to prepare. And the level of your preparation is depending on what you want to do with it. My level of preparation is for total collapse, a generational depression that will affect my grandchildren. So that's what I'm preparing for. You might say, Dave, I'm going to prepare for 2 or 3 years or maybe 6 months. And you know what? I'm not here to judge you. I'm really not even here to change your mind. I don't have time to change your mind. But if you're listening to Boots on the Ground, things are not good. Now, if you went back during the Carter administration and you looked at the rate of inflation, you look at the interest rates banks were charging on home loans, you would say, oh, terrible, terrible, terrible. And it is terrible. The difference is we now have a government, Republicans or Democrats, that do not care about us. Liberal, conservative, whatever you want to call yourself, the government does not care, and that's evidenced by the way they're spending money. It's evidenced by the bills they pass. I don't know if you see that hawk going overhead. You can definitely hear the hawk. Now I lost my train of thought. Politicians, they're not our friends. They want to divide us. They want to separate us into camps, be it racial, religious, ideology. And I don't want anyone to have to give up their core beliefs. But, you know, there's a lot of things we can agree on. One of them is our politicians aren't taking care of Americans. And that's evidenced by the border policy. Now, you might be on the liberal side and say, no, we need to let all those poor, helpless people in. I would love to talk to you about that because I can show you clear evidence that people pouring across the border, a lot of them are not good people. A lot of them are good people. A lot of them are people that have no future. But you know what? We can't even take care of our people. Literally. People are going hungry. People are going without dental care. People are going without medical care. People will not be able to heat their house. But there's a side of the Americans that say, oh no, those poor people in. Some of those poor people are coming across the border. They are killers. They're pedophiles. They're very bad people that we don't want in our neighborhoods. I find it interesting that certain states are shipping all those illegals up to Washington or New York City, and now those liberal areas are complaining. You know, they like their policies when it doesn't affect them. And they're like, oh no, send the National Guard in. We need help dealing with all these people. There should be no one coming in across the border illegally. And if you don't think that's true, then you leave. Just get out of our country. Because we're not going to have a country. Your mindset is, oh, we're going to help all these people. You know what? We can't even help our senior citizens. I talk to them on a daily basis, getting by on $6, $7, $8, $9, $1,000 a month. In the environment we are now, there's no way you can survive off that. So to say you care about all these other people is an insult to every hardworking American that has worked hard all their life, and now in their 70s, they're barely making it. So I would love a liberal explain that policy to me. Why you're going to open the border, let everyone in, because you have such a kind heart. You don't have a kind heart. You have to take care of your own first. That's point blank. They've just passed that Inflation Reduction Act, which is a joke. It is basically spend money that we don't have. It will be borrowed. It will be taxed from the middle class. People will pay higher taxes. For what? This is what just happened on part of that. They did an electric vehicle subsidy. I think it was $7,500. Immediately it passes, and what does Ford Motor Company does? It raises its prices between $7,000 and $8,000 on their electric F-150 truck. So if I bought an electric vehicle, I'd have to have a truck. I would have bought a truck. Just because if I have to have something, I'd rather have a truck. I don't know, maybe a car. That's not the point. Ford just raised their prices almost, or actually more, between $7,000 and $8,500. It depends when one you buy. So the government throws out $7,500 subsidies. Big business immediately raises their price. Does that make sense to you? Does it make sense to you why we're going down this path of electric vehicles? I like electric vehicles. If you lived in a city and you're just commuting around, that would make sense to me. But if you live way out in the country and you have to make longer trips to get to places, we can't even keep the power grid on in the United States. So those on my left, the liberals, please explain that to me. There's areas in the country that cannot get enough power. It is only going to get worse with more people that come into our country, that more people buy electric cars. We can't even keep up with it. So explain why you want 50 million more electric cars that would collapse the grid system. Is it because electric cars? And don't say, oh, it's good for the environment. Go do some research on what they have to mine out of the earth and everything they have to do to get those rare metals out. So don't think, oh, it's good for the economy, or it's good for the environment. And try to replace a $10,000 battery from your electric vehicle. Could you replace your $10,000 electric vehicle battery? It doesn't make sense to me. You know, most people are hurting now, and you want them to spend at least $50,000 on a vehicle. I can't spend $50,000 on an electric vehicle. I would love to see Florida evacuate from a hurricane with millions of electric vehicles. It's not going to happen. Common sense. First of all, you can't even get out of Florida on a hurricane because the highways are clogged. So now you're going to be along the highway with hundreds of thousands of electrical vehicles that are running out of electricity. It's not simple like, hey, or here's a 5-gallon can of gas, man, fill up and keep going, try to find a gas station. It's not like that. You're going to have to park, find a place. What about a major hurricane comes through and destroys part of Florida, and all those people are relying on that power grid that might take weeks to get back up? How are they going to drive around? But the government is throwing billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars of taxpayers' money to get this running. I think it's also a control issue. They can easily control the movement of people by controlling electricity. I have gas stocked here in a couple locations. I can put that gas in my vehicle and go anywhere I want. I don't have to rely on a big infrastructure. I have the gas. Now granted, I don't manufacture the gas. I can't make gas. Personally, I can't. I hope you're making good decisions right now. This is the time that's going to define how your family does. We look at all the shortages. There's shortages across the board. There's also a huge areas of the world that are in severe drought. What if this drought doesn't get better? No one knows the future. So if this year some of the harvest is going to be low, tomatoes especially being decimated because of lack of rainfall. I did say I don't think a famine is going to hit the United States this year. But I have said, and you know it many times, food is going to be exponentially way expensive. And the food you want to get might not be available. You might not be able to get brand A, B, and C. You might have to settle for D. So selection's not going to be there. Now, granted, if you're on the lowest tier of the United States, you're going to be hurting very, very bad. If you're in Africa or in a poor country in the Pacific, you could face hunger. You could face very bad times, especially Africa. There will be famine in Africa. But what I'm worried about is after we get this harvest processed in, at the end, before we get a new season, that's what I'm worried about. So I urge you, stock up. Stock up on the things you buy every day. Don't go out and go crazy. This is my recommendation for you. Everyone should have something like an MRE, Mountain House, anything of a dehydrated food in the pouches. You should have 3, 4, 5, 7 days maybe of that. So you can grab it, leave your house, and have some food. If you don't want that, then you do power bars, granola bars. You want something fast you can grab, leave your house for a few days, and know you have food. Then the bulk of your survival food should be bulk rice, beans, wheat, sugar, salt, things that you can get from the Mormon cannery, Church of Latter-day Saints, their storehouse. I've talked about it 50 times on my channel. When I purchased the bulk of mine, and I have been purchasing over the years, it was very, very, very affordable. A third of the cost, a fourth of the cost on some items of what you're going to have to spend now. Then I would definitely top it off with stuff like Augustin Farms, but I would only buy what's on sale. As we keep going into this thing, you're going to be limited on what you can do. You might feel the pressure, well, I can't wait till that thing goes on sale. I got to buy it now. A lot of preppers have been doing it a while. We have taken advantages of years and years and years of sale items. When something goes on 50% off, we can buy it. And that's how I stock. I don't think I've really bought any emergency food at full price. But I've been doing it for a long time. Those were my decisions that I made a long time ago to prepare. Right now you got a decision what to do, and I recommend to you to buy canned goods, canned food, what you buy. You should have a year's supply in your house by now. You should be working towards that. You should have enough to get through to the next growing season. That's what they did for hundreds and hundreds of years, for eternity. People would grow, harvest, preserve, having enough surplus so they could eat for the whole year, plus have enough seeds to replant. We don't do that in the United States. But with this drought situation, with the uncontrolled government spending, you better get to that point where you can do that. So make some good decisions today. Some of you say you have to live in the city, and this could be a whole video. Live in the city, but maybe you need to move from where you are into a place that's defendable, that might have a little bit more area to grow food. Maybe you need to switch from a wooden house to a brick house. Maybe you need to move somewhere where you're closer to a natural resource of water. That's a whole nother video. But today's the day to make good decisions for your future, because your survivability starts today. I mean, it started years and years ago, but you can change it by making good decisions. Get rid of your cable. Excuse me. If you have a ton of subscription services, magazines, get rid of them. You don't need them. You're wasting your time watching the TV when you need to be prepping, and that's a decision you make. If you come home and spend 2 hours in front of the TV, don't cry to me why you have problems. When I know preppers that go home and for 2 hours they prep. They preserve food, they grow stuff, they organize their stuff. So it's decisions. I have a heart to help people. You know what? If this situation goes into a complete collapse, I'm not going to have the ability to help as many people. If we go into a depression, I can help people. But if it becomes so severe where I'm worried about restocking, providing for my grandchildren will eat before you eat. I guarantee you that. Now, if it's just bad times and there's still Walmart, the grocery store, people are working, the banks are open, I'm going to help as much as I can. But the day it comes when I look and see, hey, this is a collapse, that we will not be coming out of it for generations or 10 years. My ability to give to others and help them has just collapsed. I have an obligation to my wife. I have an obligation to my children. I have an obligation to my grandchildren, my other family members, and then it's going to spread into my actually neighbors that I live next to. But you know what? There's no free handout. If you're a capable human being and you're hungry, I have a lot of firewood to split. I have some gardens to till. If you're not willing to work harder than me, you're not going to just work a little bit and get fed. You have to work harder than me, because guess what? I got decades of working hard on my piece of property. And if someone is lazy, they're not going to get a spoonful. Now, if they got a small child, I might help the child out. Well, I will help the child out. Mom and dad is not. And then you're going to say they're going to become a threat to you. Yes. And guess what? Uncle Sam has taught me the ability to take care of threats. I'm trained. But you know what? I'm also a grandfather. And I've met some grandmothers out there that if you mess with their grandkids, oh my Lord, don't worry about a Navy SEAL team hitting your house or an SF team hitting your house. Worry about grandma with a 12-gauge shotgun. Really don't even worry about grandma with the 12-gauge shotgun. Worry about grandma with her frying pan. Cast iron. So, make decisions right now. Also, if this thing turns really, really ugly, the available help from other people is going to diminish. They're not going to be able to help you. So guess what? Start preparing so you don't need that help. The more people that are prepared right now, the grocery stores are stocked. I mean, yeah, there's empty spots here and there. You can drive around and find whatever you want. If one grocery store doesn't have it, go to another one. Right now is the time to stock up. There's availability, because the second the general public wakes up and says, oh my gosh, we need to stock up, it's over for you as a prepper to prepare at the level you need to prepare. It's over. You might not even be able to get into Walmart. And if you get in there, it's going to be probably chaotic, and there's going to be nothing on the shelf. So now is the time to prepare. Make good decisions today. Thanks for watching.